Interested in the use of space technology to solve problems on Earth. I am also the professor in charge of African and African diaspora studies at my university. My focus is often to collaborate with space agency leaders in African countries, as well as in Asia and Latin America if they invite me. I have studied for many years the policies of African nations regarding the development and use of space technology. Starting around 2008, I was interviewing leaders and visiting countries throughout Africa to find out why are they developing space technology and how do they use it in their national work. Now I am thankful to be invited to Angola. Actually, I can thank our moderator for my first invitation. Around 2019, I did not know anyone from Angola, but our wonderful moderator, Dr. Taiwo, introduced me to Dr. Zulana Joao, the founder of the space program here in Angola. And they wanted to talk about how they could use space technology for the important topic that the country was working on related to drought management.
proper solution, and also to see how we can integrate capacity building and how do we really understand the impacts on climate change. And also within our national strategy, we also have a pillar that is specifically for technology, because we saw from the outcomes of the IPCC panels, and if you break down, we also see that there is a need for us to understand drought in the country and why are we being affected. Are we going in the right direction or not? So here is a forum that we can experience different types of tools, knowledge, and also we can bring our own solutions and discuss further with other colleagues and scientists. So this is one of the big reasons why we bring this up onto this forum.
Thank you so very much. I think you outlined everything, and yeah, it's really important to have this topic discussed at a conference like this. So I will just say that if you are here, Narciso Ambrosio and Dr. Jao Kasinda, just signify and you can come up to join us. Okay? So I will go back. I will now come to Professor Daniel Wood. So can you just take us through, you are an expert in how space technology can be used to support so many challenges and problems we have on Earth. So what is the direct link with the application of space technology and the current discussion we're having?
Thank you for the question. It's so important that we think about it together and that everyone can follow this question. I have often celebrated that technology from space is useful, but it only makes a difference with people in their own country if it's designed for this country. One of the tools we have from satellites is the ability to make measurements of the environment based on what's happening on the land, in the sea, and in the atmosphere. Before I had my current position, I worked as an employee for NASA, the US Space Agency. Do you all know which planet NASA studies the most? Does anyone want to guess? Which planet does NASA study more than any other planet?
Mars.
I hear Mars. Any other guess? I see some people in the front who are very smart. I think they have the answer. In the back, I see a hand. Okay. Actually, the answer is Earth. So if you ask for the number of satellites or for the amount of money, either way, NASA has more research and more satellites and more scientists studying Earth than any other planet. Maybe Mars is second after. NASA operates satellites that fly around the Earth in an orbit, and they have different kinds of sensors. Yesterday, I had some students here at the conference in training. Were any of you students in my training yesterday? I think not. We had maybe 50 students, and we talked about the science of why satellites can make measurements. We talked about the electromagnetic spectrum and the fact that energy from the sun comes to the Earth with different frequencies. Our eyes can see the light in the visible part of the spectrum, but the sun's energy comes with microwave light and with radio energy and with infrared and ultraviolet. Our eyes cannot see it. But some of that light comes to the Earth and bounces back to space. So electrical engineers can design sensors on satellites that can see some of the light our eyes can't see, the microwaves and the infrared light. So the information about how this light comes from the sun, it bounces onto the ground or on the ocean and back up to a sensor on a satellite. The way that the sensor receives it tells us something about what was happening on the ground. Scientists have carefully checked if you have this kind of energy and you sense it from space in the microwave or the infrared part of the spectrum, what does it mean happened on the ground with regard to the state of the vegetation or the temperature of the land or the level of water in the soil? So it's possible to build a satellite with a sensor that can receive microwave energy, meaning the sun's light comes to the Earth, it reflects off the Earth back out to space, the satellite receives the microwave signal, and it is based on the amount of soil or humidity in the water or humidity in the soil, you'll get a different reading in this microwave sensor. NASA has a satellite called SMAP. It means soil moisture, active or passive. That's the name of the satellite. And it's been operating around the whole globe since 2016. The data is freely shared by NASA. It's on the website. But in fact, for this project, we work with one of the scientists who studies hydrology or studies the science of water on Earth. And we developed a fresh data set for Angola that is based on an estimate of how severe the drought is for the whole country. Today we had meetings with the teams from the National Meteorological Institute here in Angola and the Ministry of Water and Energy, who also study these topics. And they helped us to confirm that our results are making sense. They have other data, such as they can measure the amount of rainfall that's happened in the last few years, which is also an indicator of the drought. So with their data on rainfall and our data on the level of water in the soil, we will have very useful data, a combination of mathematical models that estimate the rainfall and the measurements from satellites. So our goal for the project is to combine this international data from NASA with the local data sets. And then we'll have a map for the whole country showing every month where there is drought. There's more I want to say about the social aspects because we also want to measure this. I could go now or I could wait. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Want to check with you? I am led by our moderator. Because it is one thing to just say, okay, the drought is bad in this place. It's helpful. But we think even more helpful is to combine a map of the drought with a map of the social and economic status of the location. So we are also meeting here in Angola with the National Institute for Statistics. How many of you from Angola know what is happening with the National Institute for Statistics in 2024? It's very exciting. It's very exciting. It's going to change the country. Has anyone seen a sign about the National Institute of Statistics? What are they doing this year? Do you know what they're doing? You can ask in Portuguese.
A professora perguntou se algum de nós aqui na sala sabe o que é que está a acontecer ou irá acontecer com o Instituto Nacional de Estatística.
Hey!
So we
Plus, you can probably speak more, but I'll say for us, we are excited because there'll be fresh data from the last 10 years now. There's a new chance to have fresh data with the social and economic indicators about the demographics, the economic activities, the level of keeping livestock, the farming, the literacy, the health. So much wonderful data, and the National Institute of Statistics is prepared. They are organized, and they are going to talk to so many people and get wonderful data. Maybe you can also speak to why this is so important for the work we're doing in the SDGs.
Yeah, it is very important because our matrix, if we look at the National Development Plan, which is our main, let's say, Bible or book,
Worksheet.
the rule book, it will also have the basis on SDG 1, poverty eradication and education, which is number 5, also vulnerabilities for communities. And these issues of socio-economics or social impact or socio-biodiversity is very important to really make value on how are we going to address those. The issue of the SDGs in Angola is that within the 17 and its subtopics, we have distributed them within the ministries and also together with the private sector in a way that we can add on to that. Now, talking about the census, we start previously making a census on how are we going to provide agriculture, because as we see numbers growing, we were saying that no, we are about 20 million. No, now we are about 85 plus. So as we go along numbers, we also need to see how are we going to bring food to feed people. So then we start also developing national strategies that will go alongside with the census. And this we started with the National Institute of Statistics to make the census that was previously, that will feed this bigger census now, which is the livelihood community, scarcity of water, and the impact on communities more directly. And this is why it becomes very important to see on the SDG where we are going, because there is also a balance that we need to address if we are going to graduate or not. Luckily, we could also look that there was a ponderation on taking the decision, because there is also issues of sanitation on the basis that we need to address. Capacity building through education is also another big topic. Maybe I will give a little bit more emphasis onto that, because even within the government, it's the first time ever that we have a national strategy for environmental education, where it has a pillar for citizenship, that each one of us, we are a field member on the ground to teach others how to do good. And then documents are also available, and we are all eager to do. Despite the team from National Statistics, there is also methodology that we'll be using because of the safeguards on the environment that we need to be addressed, and also to measure if within the National Development Plan are we also achieving really what we want, as we have a long-term strategy for 2050, and now we have, which is the PDN for 5, with the interim every 5 years.
Okay, so I mean, you covered even the next questions, but it's very, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
There's one thing I didn't really finish because I didn't tell you yet how this all helps with the drought. I said we want some data from the satellite. We want some data from the Ministry of Water
Yes,
and Energy.
yes.
We want some data from the census. And at the end, why does it matter? So, after all the data is organized, we're building a software tool with maps. And the maps will show where is the drought and where are the social and economic vulnerability areas. Even that is not yet a solution, but it's information that the government can use as different agencies respond to the drought. I think there's two kinds of responses. Some are short-term and some are long-term. In our interviews with leaders from Kunene and at the national level, they have talked about response options when the drought is very dangerous. Sometimes it means making a plan to deliver emergency water and food supplies because we need it right now. So this is one kind of planning. Where should we deliver the emergency food and water? Or where should we work on drilling new wells that can perhaps relieve some of the suffering? But we expect the drought will have patterns. If you look at our data sets, every few years for the last 6 or 8 years, the drought has returned. So we expect there will be more drought in the future, unfortunately. I wish I could say it differently. So the question also is, what can the government do to prepare for future droughts, even when they're not severe? And there are projects already to develop water pumping systems to move water so that in future times the water can be managed so there's less suffering. One of our hopes is that our map can be used to plan future pumping systems so they are designed to be sustainable, meaning the water source is healthy both from the source and the destination.
Yeah, and I'll maybe just, I'm sorry, Mr. Moderator.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just take a little bit on the outcome of how data can be used. We use to make indeed the policies of how are we going to address, as you mentioned, short, medium, and the long term. But more than that, we do believe that we need to teach how to survive, because we see in some cases that science will confirm what the community is living or explaining to us in a very local way. This is why safeguards are very important for that, to address drought. And as we face, we are also addressing issues on how are we going to develop the contingency plan to that within the medium and the long term. We are also learning a lot on what is happening with Brazil, because we know that small is nothing, but big is too much. So we need to have something in between. And this risk and disasters steering committee that we have, this is where we address most of the issues, and we're taking indeed water on the bias to measure all these draft background, and also to see how are we going to apply within methodology, and also in a different way. We focus more on the, let's say, 5 provinces for now, but we need to see how much are we going to have as a reserve in the aquifers upstream from the Congo Basin forest and so on. So I think that there is also a linkage, and I can say that our country is very blessed, because from the desert to the tropical forest, and then you have also throughout Miombo biome. It tells a lot also in terms of the savanna rainfalls.
Thank you so very much. I think I'm so blessed to have a very smart panelists, so they just make my job very easy, you know. So yeah, I mean, we have a few minutes to round up. So I'm from Nigeria, so I have seen government put up so many kind of solution, so many kind of strategies, so many kind of paper, document, strategy, all this. So what is the plan to make the the intervention for the drought now, to make it something that will be there for years, that will be there for different governments? And another problem in Africa is when there is a change in government, the new government start from zero again. So what are the plans that are in place that you are currently working on, or you are hoping to implement, to make this intervention something that will be there for very long time?
To go first?
Yeah, she can go first. You can go first. I leave it.
Okay. So since it's talking about government and
Yes.
the passing on, this is why I mentioned the long-term strategy 2050. There is an exercise that we are addressing, and we have a policy that says that we should make a follow-up of, you start from where the other one stopped. And of course, dealing with those sensitive issues, and if you look around, and especially countries that are still developing with the ING, they need support because they don't have industries, in some cases, to put technology on top of the table, and they need to call for, let's say, investments or financial or donors or something like that. Where is the problem sometimes, okay? The problem is that the donor that I found, he wants me to do things in a way that he really thinks is possible for him to address. So this is not, I'm sorry, Mr. Moderator, really to discuss in a forum where we want to discuss much science, because it has a lot of politics and policies within. But what I can say is that plans of actions are there. They need from time to time to be reviewed. This is why I say that we started with the Rio Conventions, but today we need to make the breakdown. We did the breakdown, but now there are things that are converging as well, and this will bring us again to bring new models on the table. The issue is that if we are, let's say, you say that you are from Nigeria, I'm from Africa, and she's also from Angola now, okay? And then we can say that we are ready to go, but I personally have been fighting to some donors and say, let's do the way we want. All I want from you is to make sure that I'm making a very good use of the money that you gave me, and also to see that the outcome that you expect, that I say to you, is the one we are having. Otherwise, we will get into much politics. And then on the other matter is that I need to see the strategic level of decision makers. Okay, if I do not make the capacitate, is that right? Capacitate. If I do not capacitate those decision makers, me as technician, I'll fail as well. Because it might go to a meeting where it didn't had my previous notes, and then I cannot discuss with you. You understand? So those are the key challenges as a starting point. I don't know in NASA how do they do, and also maybe with technology you also help. Let's see, maybe there'll be one of the recommendations that we can put here is that systems they need to be talking to each other. Okay, we saw here a lot of solutions from the startups point of view and others that if I'm changing Paula's name, everybody should know on time.
Yeah.
But that will take time to build. Is NASA or maybe other institution agencies willing to pass on the knowledge? Because we saw samples and examples there. Some is the doing, but the build is not there. So those are the also part of the challenges.
Thank you very much. That's very brilliant.
Welcome. Okay.
Professor Daniel.
I'm very happy that you went first and you gave me good ideas.
Very good. So take use of it.
Okay, good. Maybe two directions. First, in the practical plan, our team is American, but we are invited to work here with the team from GGPen. But you said I can be Angolan. So
Yes,
thank
please.
you. Thank you. We are making together a software package, but it is for GGPen to maintain. How many have gone to see the GGPen booth here at Engotech? Have you gone to see GGPen? So you will see they are hosting several software tools that are similar to what we are building for drought. And they made those. I was not involved. This is their work. They have a tool, which is a software tool called Tech Agro. It's designed to help map farming areas and give advice to farming companies. They have one called Tech Minas, which they built to help with companies that are doing mineral and resource extraction. It can both help you monitor the change of land due to mining or plan for future mining. They also have a technology to use satellite data and identify oil spills. So we have a wonderful situation where the National Space Agency is doing, I think, a very appropriate job, which is to ask what kind of technologies can come from a satellite information, but really be in a software package that helps to answer a question for a company or for a government agency that needs to take action. So our plan is we are working together now between my team and GGPen. We'll make the software with their guidance, but at the end they should operate it, not just one person, but the team, alongside their other software tools. We'll use similar technology. Maybe some of you know a company in the US called Esri. They make a software called ArcGIS. Some people are familiar. It's a very commonly used mapping platform, and it's commonly used by GGPen. So we made sure to ask, if we're building a software together, which software are you using? Which coding language are you using? Which data sets do you like? That way we agree in advance. So in a practical sense, at the end, we think that the tool we're making for the drought project will be maintainable by the team and GGPen. Even if the people change, they have a plan to maintain. So I'm very proud of them. I think because of that, I can say after I finish and after all the leaders now finish, they'll still be using this software approach.
Sure.
And they're always training the next people in this tool. But you said something interesting. I think right now for me, what is both wonderful and also challenging is that different agencies in Angola have really important knowledge about drought. So much knowledge. Sometimes people say in Africa, there's no data about the environment. That's not true. I see lots of data. The challenge can be exchanging across government agencies. Now, of course, there's interesting history and politics. I don't need to go into detail. I think each country should decide what you value. But it is difficult for me as a visitor to get data from different agencies and put it into one software package. It is challenging. But we're doing it. So at the end, we'll have some data that was developed and curated by the National Meteorological Institute, some from the Statistical Service. And so the question might be, does the government of Angola want to invest in reducing barriers to exchange across agencies? You may decide not to as a government because there may be reasons for each agency to protect the security of the data. But I think this is a question to explore. If there was more flow of the data between the agencies, it would mean an opportunity for this different expertise to really solve the problem, not just the different mandates. But I leave it to the leaders to decide which investments are important.
Okay. Not passing yet straight to the leaders, as you mentioned. I think the signal is there because we have Infrasat. Okay, it's there. the GGPN, and we have also gazetted. We do the things accordingly to what is written, and now we are doing the capacity building. But more than that is already the census that we are trying to do, and then we can build on that because it's a time now to bring and concentrate to make new decisions. Time has passed, new generation are come, new technologies are come. It's a little bit on what we started here. Why are we bringing this topic to this forum? Why we need to discuss this further? So I think there will still be a combination between science and the policy and the politics. But okay, now then I can pass to the leaders to decide. But if we read well the intervention of Honorable President and the Minister itself, those are the answers that we can address. Otherwise, there would not be Angotic 3. Exactly.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I think the panelists have brilliantly discussed the topic and answered several questions. So I just want you to give 30 seconds, just take away from space technology, drought, and making life better for people. That's the most important. So some people, I mean, all of this science, technology we talk about, the most important is making life better for people. So, Dr. Daniel.
You said something very important. It was like the science is not really telling us something new because the people who live in the areas like Kunene or Namib or Wele province, they already know. When the drought is happening, they know. They probably can tell when it's starting. It's not because we need the satellite to tell us what they already know. It's more to give a national view, meaning a system view that many people can recognize, even if they don't live there.
Confirmation. And science confirmation.
Ah, good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives a way that science respects the knowledge from the local community. So I think I want to just remember this, that the people in the community, they know what's going on, and then it's them, they are the ones who can decide if their lives are improved.
Yeah.
The satellite data doesn't already improve their lives, but when we work together across different roles in the government, in the private sector, and the residents, there must be effort to take the information and then either change the way the water is managed or prepare for future emergencies and teach people options for how to survive in the drought. So sometimes last year I spoke in Ingotec and someone asked, how will the satellite stop the drought? I had to say, actually, it cannot. But the people can work together with the information. I was so happy to meet the students who were with us for education sessions. You just came from teaching the students. I think the Angolan youth are so smart, full of energy, and we've been teaching them about how they can use satellite data. I'll just give you an example in case you don't know. We taught them about a tool. It's free. It's called Google Earth Engine. You can go online and make a free account, and you can start analyzing satellite data yourself. So we just wanted the students to know already you can start learning, even in secondary school and university, how to be part of these tools. I think this is the best thing that I saw this week.
Thank you so very much.
Great.
Paula.
I will focus maybe on all of us, if we contribute for waste, we will also achieve a better life.
Yes.
And then I will, because at the end of the day, we are talking about science and technology for a better life.
Yes.
So, and waste, this is where we are having a big issue and even making difficulties to provide other type of data because we cannot analyze everything. That I'm not going into details onto micro things, but this is the outcome that I should leave, that we all should be one ambassador to what we believe to make a better world.
Thank you very much. And so we come to the end of this panel, but I don't know if there is one question from someone among the audience. If you have a question. Okay, I received signal that stop. Okay, so please have a chat with the panelists after now, and very, thank you very much.
Thank you, moderator.
Obrigada.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll give you my card.
Ah, sure.